So Dracula is back on the big screen in this here movie, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Does this film have any bite to it, or should it have just been scuttled at sea? Let's find out. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review for The Last Voyage of the Demeter. This is a 1 hour and 58 minute R-rated horror movie brought to us, directed by Andrew Ovredal, who had directed the film Troll Hunter in 2010 among some other things, and written by Brogy F. Shute and Zach Olquist. Now I've probably butchered those names there. It is written by those two, but it's actually based upon Bram Stoker's Dracula. Well, actually, one chapter of Bram Stoker's Dracula, that being The Log of the Demeter. So this film here, this film for me has sort of come out of nowhere. I knew nothing about it whatsoever, and what we have here is we have the crew of the Demeter, a clipper ship that is travelling back from Carpathia to London, and part of what they're transporting are 10 large crates, privately transported. Obviously these crates have a questionable nature, shall we say, which the crew come to find out as the film progresses. Now the film stars Corey Hawkins as Clemens, the ship's doctor, but we'll come into that. Now previously Corey Hawkins has been seen in 24 Legacy. He was the main star of that for the 13 episodes of that run, and prior to that he was in The Walking Dead. We never did find out what happened to his character. The film also stars Aisling Franciosi as Anna. She was in The Nightingale, if you've seen that film. Liam Cunningham, a face that everyone will recognise as Captain Elliot. He was in The Walking Dead. He was in Dog Soldiers, as well as a wealth of other things. He's quite a famous English actor. And David Dastmalchian as Wojciech. Now here's an actor that is quite chameleonic in his role in this film, but previously you would have seen him, you may have seen him in The Suicide Squad. Yes, he was the Dot Man. I can't remember the character's name, but there we go. But this film here, this film starts off with the ship being loaded. We're introduced to some of the characters. The character of Clemens is trying to get back to England. He's a black guy trying to get back to England, but he's got a lot of medical expertise, and the ship needs 3 new mates. They bypass him as one of their choices until something occurs with one of these crates with certain markings on that another fella manages to get off of the ship. He's thrown off of the ship. He wants to leave the ship because of this dragon kind of a marking on the crate, and thusly Clemens is brought on board. The ship sets sail, and lo and behold, things start to happen. People start to disappear, people start to get killed, the livestock gets killed, all this sort of stuff, and we have Dracula on board, more akin to Nosferatu, kind of a version of Dracula. He's not yet become fully humanoid. He needs to feast to do this. Anna, the female character on board the vessel, she's been stowed into one of the boxes as food for him to keep him going, but with a bit of an accident, the crate drops, splits open, she's found. The crew believe that there's evil at work, obviously, because a woman's on board, and that's bad luck to have on board a ship. Yeah, and all this sort of stuff takes place, you know, and it's one of them sort of fight for survival. When daylight's there, you're fine. As nighttime drops, Dracula goes on a killing spree, a hunt, and one by one the crew are being picked off till they come to realise his weaknesses and all this sort of a thing. Yeah, so I sat down, I watched this film. It intrigued me because, well, it's based on Bram Stoker's Dracula, isn't it? So there's the intrigue appeal there. Not only that, it's set in a time period of you know, that's of intrigue to me. Shipping on board ships like this, these sort of clippers, so you got a fantastic look and aesthetic to the film. There's not a lot of colour in this film. It's quite mute in colours, shall we say. I enjoyed this film. I enjoyed it. My biggest issue with the film is the pacing of it. At 2 hours, just shy of 2 hours, I do think it is just a tad too long. It could probably have done with being 15 minutes shorter. There's enough tension and intrigue to keep you going. The characters are all somewhat interesting. Even the smaller characters on board the ship, they've got all their own little quirks, and you know, it's only a small crew. It's a relatively small crew, numbering maybe about 9 people on board in total. Captain Elliot, he has his grandson on board as well, who's about 12 years old. And we also have, with Anna, we come to find out that she's actually from the village that lives below the castle in which Dracula resides in. And he there's no one left in the country to feed on, and this is why he's basically heading to London, because fresh new food. The film is left open-ended. The film is left with possibility of a continuation that I would like to see. A continuation, even if it goes its own route outside of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I could see a continuation here, and I'd have a lot of fun with it. The film looks fine. There's no problem with the look of the film whatsoever. I mean, it looks big scale, big budget in what they do with the clipper ship, on board the ship, the sea, the waves, the costume that they're wearing, all very, very good. But like I said, the big but, what's going to put people off this film is they'll probably find it somewhat boring, because it's a slog to get through at 2 hours. Like I said, should have been that much shorter. It's very much a talky film. It's not overly action-packed, although you do get these scenes that come up with the violence and the blood and the, you know. But for me, because it's based on a literary classic, or part of a literary classic, I enjoyed it. I had fun with it, and I appreciate what they've done with it. I appreciate the craft that's gone into this movie, and yeah, I certainly I had no issue with it whatsoever. It is a film that I would certainly pick up on Blu-ray when it comes out to watch again, and I certainly hope that we do get a continuation for it. That's all I can say about this movie. It worked for me, but I think that it'll be somewhat of a Marmite movie where you either love it or you hate it. It's going to be one of those, most definitely. But be prepared to sit, watch, listen, and for it not to move as fast as you might think.